There's a side of a narcissistic relationship that becomes much clearer after you finally walk away. Sometimes, the person who leaves isn't remembered because they stayed available. They're remembered because they stopped playing the role they were quietly expected to play. Maybe you were the one who always calmed things down. When they were upset, you reassured them. When tension appeared, you softened your words. When everything felt chaotic, you tried to bring some sense of balance back into the room. Over time, you may have become the person who carried more emotional responsibility than you realized. And here's where the dynamic can become unhealthy. When someone gets used to another person constantly helping maintain emotional stability, they may never learn to manage that responsibility themselves. Your patience starts feeling like an unlimited resource. Your understanding becomes something they expect. Your presence becomes something they assume will always be there. Until one day you stop. Not with a dramatic announcement. Not with revenge. Not with an attempt to make them regret everything. You simply stop participating. That change can be deeply unsettling for someone who had become accustomed to your attention, reassurance, and emotional availability. They may begin checking your social media, sending vague messages, asking mutual connections about you, or appearing unexpectedly. Sometimes they seem interested, other times they act completely indifferent. That inconsistency can make you wonder, do they actually miss me? But don't confuse attention with healthy love. Someone can miss the comfort, attention, reassurance, or familiarity you provided without being ready to offer you respect, accountability, and genuine emotional reciprocity. This is why being replaced can also be misleading. A new relationship may look exciting from the outside. There may be constant posts, big declarations, and an appearance that everything is perfect. But you don't actually know what happens behind closed doors. And you don't need to. Your healing should never depend on whether their next relationship works or whether they eventually realize what they lost. The real breakthrough happens when you stop seeing yourself as their emotional stabilizer. You are not responsible for keeping another adult calm. You are not required to decode every vague message. You don't have to respond to every attempt to reopen communication. And you don't need to provide closure to someone who repeatedly made you question your own peace. Sometimes the strongest response is simply becoming unavailable to the old pattern. No monitoring, no checking, no trying to understand every little signal, no wondering who they are with or what they might be thinking, because even if they continue to look back, your life doesn't have to. And that is the part people often misunderstand about obsession. You don't need to become unforgettable to someone else. You need to become unavailable to the version of yourself that kept sacrificing peace just to maintain a relationship. When you stop carrying what was never yours to carry, something changes inside you. At first, the quiet may feel strange. You may even mistake peace for emptiness because you became so accustomed to emotional intensity. But eventually, you realize the silence isn't a loss. It's space. Space to think clearly. Space to breathe. Space to rebuild your confidence without constantly adjusting yourself around someone else's moods. So if someone keeps checking for a reaction after you leave, don't make their behavior the center of your life again. Let them wonder. Let them move forward. Let yourself move forward too. Because the real victory isn't making someone obsessed with your absence. It's reaching the point where their reaction to your absence no longer controls your direction. And if you've been through a relationship that left you emotionally exhausted, remember this. Protecting your peace isn't cruelty. Setting boundaries isn't punishment. Walking away from an unhealthy pattern isn't failure. Sometimes the healthiest ending is simply refusing to return to the role that was slowly draining you. If this message spoke to you, stay connected, protect your peace, and keep moving forward.